Hello guys, hope you're all doing good. My name is Mahima Munjal. I'm a final year computer science student at the North Cap University and I will be a friend and your instructor for the day. So now that we are aware about constructors, now let's just move to inheritance. What exactly is inheritance? See the things, property or whatever things you inherit from your parents. Those that is a basic meaning of inheritance, right? Things, money, property inherited from parents or grandparents. Yeah, that is inheritance in true English, like true literal conversion of inheritance word. But what it is in classes and objects, right? What it is in oops, it's nothing. It's just a concept which tells us that whenever there's a parent class is something which are our parents, and child class is something which are we as children. Okay, so we can inherit the child class can inherit the things from the parent class, same as we inherit the things from our parents. Okay, what is the benefit of it? Suppose in real world scenario, suppose your father has a big house and he has left your has given you that house. You live in that same house, right? Now whatever accessories you have in your room, or whatever new additions you have in your room, furnishings or whatever you require, you can add those. But won't take a new house, right? Because you already have that inherited by your parents. So that is a basic fundamental example of inheritance. The parent class has some properties or some variables, some members which can be inherited by child class. The child class can use those variables, and in addition can have some variables or members of its own, for adding additional functionality or adding additional benefits to the it, right? So that's the basic fund of inheritance. And now let's just move to the code. So there are various types of inheritance. Let me just start with a simple example, and let me just start with a single inheritance. Single inheritance. Okay. What example I'm going to take in this? Let's just what should I do? Can take one class, suppose student. Okay, and this student can have name, roll number, admission number. Cool. What else I can take? This is my class student. I can take a class marks, which will inherit student, and it will have like marks in physics, chemistry, maths. Okay, and in addition it will also have name, roll number, admission number, because it will inherit those properties from student. Fair enough. Let me just make this bold. I hope it's visible now. Now let's start with the coding part. Class student. Okay, and we have our constructor. In it we pass the self keyword, name equal to Mahima, and roll number 98 and admission number 567, whatever you wanna give, and self dot name equal to name, self dot roll number equal to roll, self dot admission number equal to admission number. Fair. This is our constructor, parameterized constructor. Now let's make a function input in it. Self dot name, let me just take that, self dot name equal to input enter name. Now self dot roll number equal to int input enter roll number, and then admission number equal to int input enter. Right now I'm making a basic class definition. You should also be able to handle the bad inputs gracefully. Okay, that's a good quality of programmer. Like if user gives a string input there, the program should not crash. It should give the exception that you have entered a string input, you should enter a int type integer. Okay, so that should be done. So right now that will be covered in the exception handling lecture. So right now I should just create a basic program to explain you classes and object. Okay, def display self printing, I'm printing the name. Okay, name and all, name, roll number, self dot name, comma, slash t, roll number, comma, self dot roll, comma, admission number, comma, self dot admission number. Okay, so this is my basic class student. Let me just now call the object s1 equal to student. Let me just call s1 dot input function, s1 dot yes, let me just call display here to tell you how parameterized constructor is working. Okay, now display function here. So see the output. So I'm getting Mahima, roll number 90, admission number 567. This is through my parameterized constructor. I will give another value, Himanshi 79. So now I'm getting this value which are entered to the user. Okay, so this is my basic student class. Now let's make another class which inherits this student class, which is my class marks. It inherits which inherits my student class. So I'll just write this, and I will create a constructor for it, or I should rather skip the constructor for it. Let me just make an input function, def input self. I hope by now you must be aware how to create a constructor. So I think we have short on time. So let me just create a input function. So see, here I'm calling super dot init. You know why? This is because I want to gain the input values obtained through this in this function. Otherwise this function will just override this. Okay, okay, let me just remove it and show you how it works. Self dot physics. Now I would have to need to create constructor. Sorry, I need the initialization, right? So let me just create a default constructor only. Self dot physics 0, self dot chem 0, self dot maths 0. Now self dot physics, I'm taking input from the user, enter marks in physics. Similarly I will make for chemistry and maths. chem self dot maths, chem and maths. Okay, then our display self, and then I call the display function in it. I will just print physics comma self dot physics comma my marks in chemistry. I will just add a slash to here. Chemistry comma self dot chem and my marks in maths. Cool. Self dot maths. Now let me just create an object of for it. M1 equal to marks, and I will just call M1 dot display once, and create another object M1 M2 equal to marks. I'll just call input function only here, M1 dot input and M1 dot display. So just see what output we give. So I'm getting my marks in physics, chemistry, maths, which were my initialization 0, 0, 0. Now let me just enter the new marks. 87, 45. Cool, we are getting the correct output. But we actually needed the parent class methods, right? We also needed the name of the student and his admission number, roll number. We are not getting that, although we have inherited that student class. So why is that happening? That is because this input function and this display function have overridden my methods input and display of the parent class, right? So what I will do here, I will just, and for this also constructor also, I will just call super function. So what is super function? You can just crawl and hover over it and see. Same as superclass. So super function, what it does, it just calls the function of previous class, that is a base class, right? So now I'm calling the constructor of base class here. So first this will be executed, after that these values will be initialized, and similarly I will call here super dot input. Notice that we don't need to give self here, because that's a basic syntax of super function that we don't really need to give self here. Okay, now let me just get super dot display. Cool. Now just notice the output again. Okay, I'm getting my name as well, name Mahima, and marks in physics, chemistry, math. These are my initializations that I gave. So first this super dot init is getting called, and let's see what are there in that. In that there are default values Mahima 98567. We will be getting those, right? We have got those, and then the initializations 0, 0, 0. Then our input function of parent class is getting called, and it has name, roll number, admission number, so it's asking for name. So let me just write Ishita, roll number, admission number, marks. See, now what I have got my name and marks in that I have entered through user. So what is happening here? First, the input function of my parent class, that is my student class, is getting called. After that, these lines are getting executed, and after that in display function, it is getting called super dot display, the function of super class, that is my student class, is getting called, and hence we get this name, roll number, admission number displayed, and then this line print statement is getting executed here. Okay, I hope the flow is clear. So this is all about basic inheritance. This is a single inheritance, and all other types of inheritance are just based on this only. So this is the basic flow. You need to understand the flow very carefully. Okay, now let's just take an example of multi-level inheritance. So what exactly is multi-level inheritance? Okay, so what multi-level inheritance is like, suppose you have your grandfather, your father inherits properties from your grandfather, and you or child inherits properties from your father. So this is the basic fund of multi-level inheritance. Father is a child class of grandfather and you are the child class of your father. So there are two parent classes involved, and father will be a child class for grandfather, but father will be a parent class for you, that is child. Okay, so let's just extend this program only. So I have my class student, right? Okay, this can be my parent class. Suppose this is my grandfather. Then I'm taking my class marks. This can be your father, and it is inheriting the class student, so it is inheriting grandfather. Now, the third class can be, suppose I have my class average. Class average, okay. And what will this class do? Can anyone tell me which class will it inherit? It will inherit the class student or class marks to perform multi-level inheritance. Right. We will inherit the class marks, because it's multi-level inheritance. So you are inheriting your father, that is your class marks, and marks is inheriting the class student. Then let's just give the constructor and basic initializations in it. Always remember the self keyword. Okay, I will just call the super function, so that my super function of marks class is getting initialized or called. Okay, then self dot total equal to suppose 0. Then I'm just printing the display function. I don't really need input function here. Okay, so self dot total equal to what? It is equal to self dot physics. Now how are we inheriting this? This self dot physics is in my class marks, so I can just inherit that property. Okay, I can just use that property here itself. Okay, so self dot physics plus self dot chem plus self dot maths. Cool. Now I will just call super dot display. Why I'm doing so? So that my display function of marks class is called, and then marks class will call the display function of my parent class student. Okay, so this is my flow. Okay, then let me just print the total. Print total. What will be the total? It will be self dot total. Okay, self dot total, and let me print the average also. Print average comma self dot total by 3, because we have 3 subjects. Okay, now let me just call the make a like object of first average function, and then let me call the display function. It will now have the basic values. Okay, and then let me just call the display input function. So what this input function will do, it will call the input function of which class? Marks class. Okay, then we'll get the marks, otherwise we'll get 0 0 0 here in this function. Okay, let me just call, then it will be more clear. Okay, display. See if okay. See, I am getting Mahima. These are my default values, and marks in physics, chemistry, math, and total 0. These are my default values. This is because I'm initially calling only the display function. Then I call the input function. Since this does not have any input function, so whose input function will be called? Marks input function. Okay, and then you will ask, then if marks input function is getting called, how is name? It's asking for prompting for name. So when you go in marks, input function, you see super dot input is called here. So this marks will then call super dot input, and then the flow will come here. After these three lines are executed, the flow will again comes in marks class, and it will prompt me to ask marks, and then we finally have completed the input function. So let me just write Mahima Munjal 876 456. Okay, so these are the values I have entered at the runtime, and these are getting displayed. Then my total is getting calculated and average is getting printed. Fine, cool. So what we have implemented here is multi-level inheritance. My average, sorry, I think just added this. My average is getting calculated through my parent class marks, and my marks is dependent on my parent class student. Now let's understand other concept also, multiple inheritance. So what exactly is multiple inheritance? Okay, this is a daily scenario. Suppose you have your both parents, okay, your father and mother. So you will inherit properties or money or anything from both parents, right? You won't be inheriting from single parent. So that is the basic funda of our multiple inheritance. Okay, inherit inherit from both parents, that is father and mother. So what will be these? These will be parent classes. And what will be my child class? Child class you, right? So to implement this, what example should I take? Let me take this only, father mother. Okay, so let me just take class papa. Okay, and what does father have? Father has a name, money. We will just give those values. I'm just taking an example to make you understand. Okay, name equal to, suppose, Ashok, and father has money 10,000, suppose. Now let's initialize the name. Self dot papa name equal to name self dot papa money equal to money. Then I'm calling the display function. What I'm printing here, I'm just printing papa's name and papa's money. Okay, so print papa's name, comma, self dot name, self dot papa name. Okay, then I'm going to print papa's money, and what I will print self dot papa money. Cool. Now we don't really need another function. Let's just make two functions only, and let me just call the papa function, and let me just create an object of papa and just call the display function. Okay, and see the output. Okay, papa's name Ashok, papa's name 10,000. And suppose I give parameters here. Suppose Abhinav 17,000. What do I get now? I get papa's name Abhinav and papa's money 17,000. Cool. So things are working well. Now let's just make mother class. I will just copy this only. class mom. Mom's name Momta. Let mom has 20,000 amount. Self dot mom name. Self dot mom money equal to money. Mom's name. Mom's money. Okay. Mom name. Mom money. And just let me call the function. Create an object of mom and call this. So I'm getting my mom's name Abhinav and 17,000 amount because I passed those as parameters. Let me just remove those parameters and see. I will get mom's and Mamta and amount 20,000. Cool. Now let me just make a child class. This will also be similar to this class. So let me just copy this as well. Okay. So this is my class child. Which class will it inherit? Papa. And which other class? Mom. Right? Simple scenario. You inherit the properties, you inherit everything from your father and mother. Similarly, you will be inheriting those from your father and mother. Right? Now let me give self dot name equal to name, self dot money equal to money. Let me write the name here. Okay, and money 2000. Okay, and display my name, my money. Okay, self dot name, self dot money, c1 equal to child, c1 dot display. Okay, this is me, my class. I'm getting name Mahima and my money 2000. Okay, now let me just give it some parameters and see if it's working. Hi, comma 89. Okay, my name is Hi, money is 89. Okay, it works well. Now we have although inherited the class papa and mom, but that is not getting called because we have not called the super function. But here's a flaw here. So if I call super function here, do you think we will get the correct output? Okay, let me just call that and show you that why won't we get correct output. Okay, super dot display. Let's just see what we get. I'm getting papa's name Ashok, papa's money 10,000, my name Mahima, my money 20,000, but 2,000. But where is my mom's money? I'm not getting my mom's money parameter, although I've inherited mom. And why is this super only calling my father and super dot display only calling my father and not my mother? You know why? Because this is my first class. I called this first, so whenever I call super, it will just take these values and print those values, and it will just call the init function of papa class and display function of papa class, and after that it won't call for mom because it will get compiler will get confused as to which super class has to be inherited, right? So what can we do in this case? Obviously we have two classes, we can't just call super in and get the correct output right now. So what I will do here, in multiple inheritance we give the class name. I'm doing, I'm simply giving class name papa and calling the init function. Okay, and now I need to pass self also because otherwise I will get errors. Super allows us not to pass self, but whenever we declare constructor through this method, we need to pass self also. Okay, now let me just call mom dot init as well, and this will give me the correct output. I will just remove that from here also. Papa dot display self and mom dot display self. This is how we call in multiple inheritance, so that the compiler is sure that okay, it has to call display method of papa class. Here it has to call display method of mom's class. Now let's just see the output. See, you notice the difference? I'm getting papa's money, I'm getting my mom's money, name and money, and my name and money. This is what we wanted, right? So this is a basic example of multiple inheritance. Okay, I hope the things are getting clear, right? And if you want to print the sum, you can just print that also. So now let's discuss another type of inheritance, hierarchical inheritance. So what happens in this? In this we have a single parent also, right? My hierarchical inheritance. And in this, suppose my single, what I will have here, I will have my father class, suppose, and father has two child, okay, and those two child will inherit the properties or the money from my father class. Suppose property whatever, one, property two, whatever is there, so that will be inherited by the two children from father. So what is the difference between this multiple and this? In multiple we had two parent classes and one single child was inherited from two parent classes. Now what we have single parent class. What is a single parent class? Father. What are our child classes? Father, parent class, child class, child 1, child 2, child 3, whatever. Okay, now let's just write the code for it. Let me just copy the child code only. So this is my first child class. Okay, now what I will do here, I will just add inherit from the papa class. Suppose I am inheriting from papa class, I'm not inheriting from my mom class. I don't really need that. This is my hierarchical inheritance, and this, suppose this be my child 1. Okay, this can be my child 1. Control C, Control V. This can be my child 2. It is also inherited from papa class. We'll keep all things same. I'm just removing this. I can just call super now because we have only one parent class, that is my papa class, and I will just call super dot init. Okay, here also I can call super dot display, super dot display. Okay, Control C, remove that from here, and my Control C. Now what I am getting, I am just inheriting from my child 1 class and I am displaying. Okay, and I'm inheriting from my child 2. I'm making an object of child 2 class and just displaying it. Let's see if it works. Yeah, it's working. Papa's name Ashok, papa's name 10,000, papa, my name Mahima, my money 2,000. Similarly for child 2 we will do papa's name Ashok, papa's name let me just change the child name. Okay, I will just write the child name, suppose Himanshi, comma 98 7 987, whatever. Okay, papa's name Ashok, papa's money 10,000, my name Himanshi, my money 987. I'm getting the correct output. Okay, so this is my hierarchical inheritance. I'm inheriting child 1 and child 2 class from papa, and I'm just printing the values I'm getting, right? So let's just now discuss other type of inheritance. Only one type of inheritance is left, that is hybrid inheritance. Now this is very interesting. Okay, what actually happens in hybrid inheritance? Okay, in this, combine 2 or 3 different types of inheritance. Control X and okay. Okay, so this is my habit. It combines 2 or 3 different types of inheritance. It can be single inheritance, single plus multiple, multiple plus single, or single plus multi-level, it's your choice. So right now, which example I can take? I can just take an example of, suppose, like I have my class student, right? I will take this example only. Class student, fine. What I will do, I am inheriting my class marks from student. My class marks inherit student. This I have already done in the code above, right? See, student and then marks is inheriting student. Now I will add two more classes here. My class, suppose say class extra curricular, and my class, suppose say sports. Okay, so what will my extracurricular and sports do? They will inherit marks. So what is happening here? It's combining two types of inheritance. This is my single inheritance, right? Single inheritance, and here I'm getting my multiple inheritance, right? Because my class marks is the parent class. Okay, sorry, hierarchical inheritance. It now second might be hierarchical inheritance. So this is my parent class and it has two children. Two children. Okay, what will be my two children? Class extracurricular and my class sports. Okay, let me just make a diagram, it will be more clear. Okay, I will just change whatever I have here. Let me just make this, what all classes I had: student, parent, extracurricular and sports. Okay, so let me just make this is in student. Okay, let me just make the changes in this design only. It is actually serving the almost same purpose. Extracurricular sports, this is my extra curricular class. Okay, this can be my sports class. Cool. It can have properties like, suppose, dance. I'm not able to add enter. Okay, dance, singing, whatever property, yoga, whatever properties we have here, and it will have functions as well. I'm just removing this. Suppose we have another properties. Yeah, dance, yoga, or whatever. Suppose singing. My sports can have basketball, suppose, and what all it can have: cricket. Let's just stick to only cricket. Cool. Now, which are which class are these inheriting? These are inheriting marks. Okay, and like these are actually, I should name it actually extracurricular marks. It will be more better. Extracurricular marks. Okay, sports marks. Sports marks. Okay, another class, student. This can be my parent class. It has properties you already know: name, admission number, roll number, name, admission number, roll number, and so on. Whatever you need to make, I'll just remove whatever are there in this. Okay, and just remove this also. I'm not giving the name of functions as of now because it will just increase the time. I will code that directly. Okay, so now my marks is get inheriting. Let me just make an arrow. Marks is inheriting student. So what is this? This student and this mark possess single inheritance, right? And now extracurricular marks and sports inherit marks class. So what is this? This is my hierarchical inheritance. This combination of two types of inheritance is what? Hybrid inheritance. This whole is my hybrid inheritance, and this student and this marks, this represents my single inheritance. Okay, and this combine, this is my what? This is my hierarchical inheritance, and this combined makes hybrid inheritance. Okay, and now let me just code. I have already made marks class student and marks, so let me just add class extracurricular. Let me just copy, in fact. What we have one of our class as class extracurricular marks. Okay, and which class is it inheriting? It is inheriting the class marks. Initialization remains same, just change the functions. Let self dot dance equal to 100, self dot yoga can be suppose 98, any which value you want to give. Self dot singing can be 56, whatever, and then we enter marks in dance, yoga, singing. Cool. Here also I change the variables. Dance, self dot yoga, self dot singing. Cool. So now my display method, yeah, I would have to change here also. Dance, self dot dance, self dot yoga, self dot singing, and let me just run this. And okay, I have to first declare m1 dot extra curricular marks. I have got it, extracurricular marks, and then I'm calling display function. It will print the default values because right now input function is not called. Then I will call input function, and then user values will be printed. Okay, let me just call this. So it is right now printing default values, name, roll number. So what it is doing, let me just explain the flow. So it is printing name first. What is getting called m1 dot display. Okay, so as first my initialization is getting called. So first it goes here initial in my constructor. It calls super dot init, and where I reach in marks class. Okay, where is my marks class? Here is my marks class. I reach here, and then when I reach here, I see the first element super.init. Okay, so this is further calling another class. So where do I reach? I reach in class student. So this initialization function is called first, and I initialize the values Mahima, roll number, and whatever values I've given to, and map these to self.name, roll number, admission number. Now this after these three lines get executed, it comes again in my marks function and executes rest of the statements. Self.physics 0, self.chem, self.maths. Okay, it does that. Now this function, this whole function is complete. So that means what? That means here this call is complete. Okay, then we assign the value self.dance, yoga, singing. And similarly, when we call the input function, it goes to marks class and it calls the marks class input function. And in marks class, we have further given super.input of parent class. So it goes to parent class, executes these three lines of code, comes back to my marks class, then asks for my marks in physics, chemistry, maths. Then this whole function is complete, and the execution block again comes to my extracurricular class, and then asks for my marks in dance, yoga, singing. Cool. Now let me just enter. Okay, this is how it is getting executed. Now these are the default values I'm giving, user values I'm giving. Okay, so my student class has got called. Now my flow is in which class? It is in marks class, right? I will give marks class values 60, whatever. Now the flow has again come in my extracurricular class, that is this. Now flow is here, it's asking for marks in dance. I will write those just 90, and what I'm getting now, I'm getting the values, name, whatever I entered, name, roll number, dance, and marks. So this is how my flow is working. Right now for sports also, I will just copy this code and Control C, new code. It will be similar only. Sports marks. Let it be basketball, cricket, baseball. Okay, and then here also I will make the changes. Self dot basketball, self dot cricket, self dot singing. I am asking the input function. Self dot baseball, and then super dot display, and here the marks. Basketball, self dot basketball, self dot cricket, self dot yoga, sorry, self dot what is that, baseball, baseball. Okay, so let me just call the class, which is this class sports marks, sports marks. And which class is it? Inheriting marks class. So what happens here, I will just see, I will just get a call from I will just get displayed my name, roll number, admission number from my parent class student, and then from my parent class marks, and then from my parent class, and then from my child class sports. So let me just run this. Name, this is getting printed from student class, which I already explained in extracurricular. Then in this is getting displayed from my marks class, and this is getting displayed from my, okay, I have not changed the name here. Okay, I will just change that, otherwise you might get confused. So I'm getting the values. Cool. Now let me just enter the name, Mahi, roll number, admission number, marks in physics, marks in chem, marks in math, marks in dance. I have not changed the print statement here, so this is actually marks in basketball. Okay, you, okay, my marks in basketball, cricket. Oh, let me just change the print statements only. You might get confused otherwise. Enter marks in basketball, marks in cricket, marks in baseball. Cool. Cricket slash T. What is 67? And marks in baseball. So I think the basic funda must be clear by now what we are actually doing here, right? So I'm getting marks in basketball, cricket, baseball, and now let me just give user values. Himanshi, Kumari, roll number, admission number, marks, basketball, cricket, baseball. Okay, and then I'm getting the values. Okay, so this is an example of hybrid inheritance. How? Because my parent class is student, then my child class is marks, which is inheriting class student. So single inheritance is getting implemented here. Then I'm getting implemented hierarchical inheritance. My parent class is marks, and my child classes are extracurricular and sports. And then what we are getting implemented hierarchical inheritance, and this whole combined can be termed as hybrid inheritance. We can also do one thing, we can just inherit sports from extracurricular marks. Okay, this is actually not required, but I'm just telling you what or other is an example of hybrid inheritance. So now I will have multi-level inheritance here. My like extracurricular will inherit marks, and sports will inherit extracurricular marks. Okay, so this will become an example of multi-level inheritance, and this combined will again be hybrid inheritance. So let me just change that and see how things change in my code. Extracurricular marks. So now what will happen? First my student class will be called. Then what will be called? Then my marks class will be called. Then what will be called? My class extracurricular marks. And then finally my sports class will be called. So we will get all the values now, okay, whatever are there. See, I'm getting this called student class, then my class marks, then my class extracurricular marks, dance, yoga, and then my finally sports class. So let me just also give default user values, Joe 97, whatever you all use, dance, yoga, singing, basketball, cricket, baseball. Okay, so now here is my output. So what flow is working here, I think you might be clear by now, but let me just explain it once again. So what I'm doing, I'm creating an object of class sports marks. Okay, then I'm calling the display function. Right now I have not called any input function, so directly my display function is getting called. But sorry, before display function my constructor will get called, right? My initializations. So as soon as I declare an object, my constructor will get called. Okay, so I come in my constructor. I see here super.init class is getting called. What is my super class? Extracurricular marks. So where does the flow go? Flow comes here, and from here I notice another super statement is there. So where does my flow go again? It goes in the parent class of extracurricular marks. So what is the parent class of extracurricular marks? Marks. Correct? So my flow goes here, right? So now again I notice that the super function is called. Now again my parent class will be called. What is the parent class of marks class? Student class. So where does the flow go? Flow goes here. Now here is no super function. So what this means? This is my parent class and it doesn't have any other, like it doesn't have any inheritance. So these statements get called. Name Mahima is getting assigned to self dot class variable, self dot name class variable, self dot role class variable is getting assigned the value 98 and admission number. Okay, after the execution of this statement, where does my flow come? Flow comes in my marks class. Self dot physics chem and maths are assigned. After this block completes, my flow comes in which class? Which is the child class of marks? Child class is extracurricular marks. So my flow comes here. Rest of the statement gets executed. Self dot dance, yoga, singing. These get initialized, right? And finally, where does my flow come after completion of this whole constructor? Now my flow comes in sports class. Now this super.init is complete. Okay, now this is complete. Now my values of basketball, cricket and baseball get assigned, and then I call my display function, and it just calls the super.display function. Then again this super.display calls what? Super.display first calls the class extracurricular marks, right, which is my parent class. Then I go here. I notice here also my super.display function is then it has another super.display, which means it also has a parent class. So we will go to the parent class of extracurricular marks, which is the parent class marks. So we will go to the class marks and see the display function of class marks. Okay, now we come here. Flow comes here. Okay, now here also we notice that we have another super function called. So where do we go? We go to the parent class of class marks, and which is class student. Okay, so here there is no super, so that means this statement gets executed, and after the completion of this statement, where does the flow come? My name, roll number, admission number have got printed now in the console. Okay, now the flow comes again in my class marks, and then this statement, this gets executed. Okay, after the execution of this statement, my display function of this marks class is complete, and my flow comes in my extracurricular marks. Where is my extracurricular marks? Here it is. Flow comes here, and this print statement, now this is complete. It has just displayed values from my parent class marks and the parent class and its parent class also student. Now this statement get executed. Okay, after the execution of this statement, this code flow or this block is complete, And then again my flow comes where? My flow comes here in my class sports marks, and then this statement print, this gets executed. Okay, so this is how things are working and how we actually do the inheritance. And I hope by now you must be clear about what actually is inheritance and what actually are classes and objects. And you might have got a basic idea, if not a very good idea, you might have just got a basic idea of what actually are classes, objects, what is OOPS concept, what is inheritance, what is abstraction, how do we perform encapsulation. So these are the basic things, okay?